Pirates have long fascinated the minds of men. Rebellious, adventurous, and free-spirited, they carved their own path in the world. After serving 10 years in the Navy, I took the plunge to write my own story. Since then, I've learned directly from some of the most savvy marketers in the game. My name is Ben Perry, and welcome to the Pirate Marketing Podcast. Before we get into this episode, I think it's important to let you know that there has been a fantastic, insane response from part one of the interview that I did with Lauren Jane Perry last week. You guys have let me know just how valuable that part one was for you. And if you think part one was great, wait till you sink your teeth into part two. We dive into even more tactical, practical, like real world, what are we actually doing in sales. But I think it's important to let you know that Lauren not only closed the guy that we talked about on part one, the one who was asking questions over the weekend, but she went on to close 4 the very next week, and we're into the week after, and she's already at 2. So if you want to capitalize on the kind of coaching that she's getting right now, for the first 100 people who join my new Facebook group, A Pirate's Life for Me, I'm going to be giving away a PDF transcript of a sales call where I objection handled like 6 different objections. I mean, there was a think about it objection, there was a partner objection, there was a money objection, there was a how does it work objection. There was a lot of objections, and it ended up in a one call close. So for the first 100 people, I'm going to be giving this transcript, and I'm also going to be sharing the actual video of me objection handling with this person. So if you want access to that, go there now to A Pirate's Life for Me, and I'll see you inside the Facebook group. Now, on with the episode.
First of all, I have to point out, this is so funny doing this podcast with the microphone the way it is, because I'm having to stay quiet longer that I would normally interrupt, but this is good. This is interesting. Yeah. Which also teaches me a lot about the communication, because I've had to learn to interrupt sometimes when people talk too long. Knowing when to interrupt is so crucial. But this is fun and interesting. So I guess I was just thinking also, sometimes I get these, particularly men, I would say. I had one woman, but usually the men that have that very short, I don't want to tell you anything, and I'm just shopping around. I just want some information. Like I am, they have like a steel, I don't know, like facade in front of them. They are not letting me in. Yeah. There's those types. And that one I would ask you, what should I do? But then there's the ones who, this is my problem, blah, 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 blah. Right. Yeah. So those ones, they give me everything I need. I got all the pain. I know everything. Yeah. Those tend to be the fear ones. Yeah. They are in pain. Mm-hmm. They need the help. They believe it'll help them. Yeah. They are terrified they can't do it. They're terrified they can't make the money for whatever reason to pay it. Even if there's a great payment plan, they still don't believe in themselves. How do I start showing them that I am I don't want to say I'm the leader, but like, that I'm here to help them in the discovery part? Like, where do I start putting those frameworks in? Yeah. Yeah.
All right. You asked a lot there. So, well, I guess let's start with the person who is very abrupt and like, I just want to know the price. I just, tell me what this is, or I know what you're doing. Oh, I love those. Mm-hmm. So those are the type of people where it's like, hey man, look, I'm happy to go through all that with you right now. I've been given a mandate by, the offer owner, whoever it is. Like, there's just certain boxes that I have to check, right? So I'm just a liver. I'm just a filtration system right now, right? So like, it's up to me right now to figure out, ask you these questions, and then I'm happy to answer, because right now we don't even know whether we could help you or not. That's why we're asking these questions. So if it's all right with you, I just have a few more questions. I'm happy to answer those.
Would you take that tone? Because I took that tone with the last guy, and it got combative in discovery.
And it might. But the thing is, he might say, no, you just tell me what the price is. It's like, well, that's somebody who's never going to buy anyway, and just save your time.
So how would you hang up? How would you save your time?
Well, that's the thing, right? You have to be able to, like, they're there for a reason, and they're lying to themselves if they're not going to open up to you, right? Yeah. And you can say, hey man, I'm here to help. Possibly, if we can, but I can't help you if you don't give me anything.
So
right.
Bring it back down. I heard your tone change.
Right. It's like, look, I legitimately am here, right, to be able to help you. Possibly. I don't know yet, but I can't help you if you don't tell me what's going on. Right. And you have to remind them that you're there to help. It's like you got on this call because something isn't going the way that you want it to go. And I don't know what that might possibly be, but if you don't have a problem, then this is going to be a very short conversation because like there's really nothing for us to talk about.
In that?
No.
Even later on, if it gets really combative?
No.
Okay.
No. Would a coach apologize for really, making sure that their team members are doing burpees and all that in order so that they can win the championship? It's like, that's part of why you're here. And that's the stance that you have to take. And part of the frame is you are a guardian into this particular offer. You don't just let anybody in. And people think that just because we have an offer that we're going to take every swinging dick that comes in here. It's like, that's not the case. If you're going to show up and you're going to be rude and you're being rude to me, chances are you're going to be rude to our very awesome coaches that actually help you get the job that you want. And so in a very serious manner, you are displaying how you would actually show up on those kind of interviews. Why would I ever put somebody who is showing up like this in an interview like that? I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm saying that your behavior right now is not something that I would even want to put. And I would be telling them this right on the call. So I would say, now convince me why I should even, listen to what you have to say. Because right now, I would be much more inclined to just pass because I got a lot of other people right behind you, and I have more people in my pipeline that I could be talking to. So it's up to you.
I think for me, it helps to hear that and hear how you're saying that in that framework, because I'm also relating to back in the day when I worked at a spa and I had to, every once in a while I'd man the front desk. If someone came in and acted the way that some of these people have acted, I would not put them on someone like one of the therapist's calendar because I'm not going to put them through that. If you're going to treat me that way, you're going to treat them deserve to go. You don't go back through that door. And that was a physical location, a physical thing that if I can relate it to something I already understand, I'm like, or people whenever we talk about would you let someone talk to your kid that way? Would you that brings out the mama bear in me. Not that I really like that phrase, but it's oh, can we cuss on here?
Yeah.
Oh, hell no. No, I would not let someone talk to my kid that way. Anytime I can think of a protective, that helps me. Okay. These coaches, I do believe they are helping people. They're awesome people. I don't want someone to come in and hurt them or all these other people that did enroll.
Yeah.
So that actually really helps me because I'm if you're going to be a jerk to me, you're going to be a jerk to them.
Yeah.
I'm not letting you through. Okay. So that actually really helps.
Yeah. So you're just communicating, hey, I'm here to help. They have to know that. And if they still go, well, why don't you just tell me the price? Why don't you do that? It's well, that's not the way this game works. You're going to answer my questions or this is going to be a short call because we're coming from a place of abundance and we don't need to. I love this. And this could be somebody who's just being really combative. You just be look, I have been as nice and kind to you as I could possibly be, right? While still trying to figure out why you're here, right? And this conversation is largely set up so we can figure out if or how we can help you. But if you're not even willing to tell us whether you have a problem or not, and you're going to have an attitude like this, well, look, just because your mother failed to acquaint you with the Emily Post's book of etiquette is no reason that I need to sit here and suffer to your ignorance.
Yeah. Have
a good day.
Okay. I love that right then you just did that with a very calm, lower tone. It's knowing tonality is so important. And what are you talking with a forceful? Or are you talking, and you can say something very stern with a slow, what do we call it? A slow burn, a slow ember, so that was one of the things that really helped me the other day is you talked to me about the tonality of, it was one of the phrases that we say, and you had me say it with anger and then and say it with a slow, was it a blaze? No, you used some word like that. I was picturing this fire and an ember, and it's like this intensity, like an intense slow burn.
Intensity.
And it, do you remember what the question was? I can't remember what it was,
I
but
don't.
but that really helped. And it's just like an acting, and it's how you can say the same thing several different ways.
Right.
But I can be like, you know, kind of like, we're not going to let you in. Or I can be like, and we're not going to let you in. And actually that can be more powerful. So that's, thank you. That's super helpful.
Yeah. When you can slow down and you can clearly communicate and enunciate, sometimes that's almost more scary. Right.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm disappointed in you.
I remember Martha telling me that when she was a young girl, that what would make her the saddest and make her want to cry is not when her dad yelled or anything, but whenever he got down on one knee and he said, Martha, I'm very disappointed in you. Like, that alone was enough to be like, oh God, you know? And so that's part of that whole, like, you don't have to get agitated, right? Because you're coming from a place of groundedness. The other question that you asked me is, well, what if people show up and they give you all of their pain right away and it ends up being a fear-based objection? This is a great question. You have to get in front of that and you have to stop them, because you need to pace how and when they give you that pain, right? Because the way that we have our script designed is designed to pull out these questions and to start surface level and to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper to where it makes sense that we're asking these deeper questions. But if somebody is just vomiting all of their pain on you all at once, then you need to be like, oh, no, I appreciate, you know, that you're going through that, that you're telling me all that, but let's just take it one step at a time. I'm sure we're going to get there. That way I could fully understand like what the actual situation is. But then in my mind, when I hear somebody show up and they already have all of their pain on their shoulder, it's a red flag to me. It's a red flag to me, because if you have this much pain on your shoulder and you can already spout all the ways that this is, what the consequences are of your pain, what have you been doing to solve this? And why has it taken so long for you to solve this? Because this, to me, you're not only problem aware, you're solution aware, you're brand aware. Why haven't you taken any action? And so I'm going to lean harder on, why not just do this by yourself? I'm going to lean harder on, well, why didn't you go with any of these other solutions? Because if they say, well, they didn't have this, or I did do something, but the program just didn't have something for people like me, they're basically telling you what the objection is going to be for them.
Is it kind of like, if we go to the doctor analogy, like they come into the ER and they are bleeding out, and like they've been bleeding out for a week. And I guess if you had that person come in, you'd be like, why didn't you come in sooner? Like, what were you doing? Like, is that kind of like a way to see it? Like, I don't know. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. Be like, look, you have this problem. Why didn't you go with somebody else? Well, and if they don't take responsibility that it was their choice to stay where they're at, because all roads lead to, I'm in control. And you'll find that everybody wants to blame everything and everybody under the sun except for themselves. And you're just there to be a giant mirror.
Can I just say, everyone right now, it's the market. Everyone's getting laid off, this and that. Oh, the economy. They have been leaning hard on what's going on right now. And I have to, every time, and tell me if this is correct, I'm like, okay, you can't control that. What can you control? Is that a good framework? Like, I talk to them about, what are you in control of? Or they talk about, maybe I'm too old. And it's like, well, unfortunately, we don't have time travel, but what can we control? It's how you're marketing and branding yourself. Is that the right way to kind of go about that?
Yeah. But you also point out, well, there are people that are getting hired. There are people that are older that are getting hired. There are people who are prospering even because of the economy. So, and this makes me think about Jim Rohn, right? Jim Rohn said, hey, I threw all that, I used to blame everything. I used to blame the economy. I used to blame, the political party that was in power at the time. I used to blame, the bills. And he's like, you know what? I threw that old blame list away. Now somebody found it and picked it up, right? And they started using it again. But that does you no good, because if you are somebody who opens up even a sliver of like, this is outside of my control, then that allows you to live in mediocrity. And if you have an excuse to live in mediocrity, then it will be your life. And I think that is the current kind of socioeconomic climate. It's so in vogue right now to be a victim, right? All I have to do, I don't even have to be known for my accomplishments. All I have to say is I was a victim, and you're going to get attention. And people love to have attention. You also have to pinpoint, are you talking to somebody who just loves to have attention and you're just somebody there to be able to talk to you? Because it's cheaper to talk to you than talk to a therapist. Right. So you also have to get in front of all that.
Yeah.
Right. So when talking to somebody who has all that pain on their shoulder, I'm going to ask, what are you doing to solve this for yourself? And what happens if nothing changes and they say, this bad thing's going to happen? And I go, okay, well, what's going to happen if you don't change this? And they go, well, I'm not going to let it get that far, or I'm not going to, even think about it. This is where you have to kind of go deeper and be like, well, you are living it right now. And I would say definitely think about it, because if you're not willing to think about the worst case scenario, it's like, hey, look, man, I'm not asking you to accept failure, but I am asking you to actually consider what it would look like. Because if you think about it, Ray Dalio, one of the most successful hedge fund managers in the world, he says that we're really not willing to explore what success looks like until we're really willing to explore what failure looks like, because only then do you know what is the price that you're willing to pay.
So is this an example then of where you're starting to take the coach's hat? Like, you haven't even asked for permission necessarily,
100%.
But you are reframing within the discovery portion.
Yeah. Yeah. Because look, let's just figure out what are the actual consequences of you not actually figuring this out? Well, I don't know what you want me to tell you. I'm telling you, it's not going to be good. It's yeah, I get it's not going to be good, but what does that actually mean? Well, I'm going to lose my job. Okay. Or you've already lost your job. How much longer can you go living on your savings? Well, I've only got a couple more months. Okay, well, what happens after that? Why don't you want to think about it? Well, that's kind of why we're on the call right now, and I'm here to be able to help. But what happens if you don't do anything? You said you have 3 kids. You're a single mom. What are the actual day-to-day ramifications of you not figuring out how to be able to find another job? And they may be like, well, then I might have to go on welfare. I might have to, move in with my mom or something. Whatever the thing is, and be like, all right, a lot of people move back in with their mom. That's not so bad. And I would push them away. Be like, that's not so bad. We're like, but you don't understand. My mom is XYZ. I can't put my children in that environment. And it's like, well, what do you mean that environment? And you're going deeper. And they're like, well, it's just, whenever she drinks, I don't really know what's going to happen, because this one time, this really bad thing happened. Now they're finally getting deep, and you find the sauce. You go, well, are you willing to settle for that, to have your kids in that environment? Or are you willing to actually do something about your situation and make a change? No, I'm willing to do something to make a change. Okay. But why now though? Because you could wait another 2 days, 2 months, 2 years.
Yeah.
Why specifically now?
So my question is, I guess, when it's obvious the pain is bad, they have given me all that, I mean, they're about to cry. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's really hard for me to go in and ask that question that I'm like, if I ask this, they probably are going to cry. And it's so obvious from what they just said that I feel just stupid asking this question, whatever it is, that's like the final blow. And I don't know if it's because I'm not showing up the way I need to and asking that question. and I really need to, because I know that they need to hear it. It's not enough for me to know. It's not enough for me to say it. It's that they need to say it, and they need to know it for themselves. I guess it's like when you're asking certain questions, you realize you can't follow the script. You can't be a robot and be like, oh, they already gave me that piece of information, so why would I ask that question? Like, you don't always have to ask it if they already gave you that information. But I guess maybe I have to think through, do they give themselves that information? Because some of it's like, I need to know how many resumes have they put out, how many have they gotten back, and they're hearing it and I'm hearing it because I need to know the situation. But when it's like that final blow pain question, I'm finding it hard to hit on that for some of these people.
Why?
Because I don't want to make them cry. Because in my nature, I want to make people feel comfortable, feel better. And sometimes I've noticed I've been saying the word okay. When they say, pain, 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 I'm like, okay. And I'm doing this thing of like, I understand, because that's always been my nature of like, in a conversation, I want to show that I understand what someone's saying instead of probing, instead of asking why or how so, or going deeper. I'm still keeping up here, kind of like, oh yeah, I get it. I understand. Oh, I could see that. And that's, I know, not the right approach, but like, how do I shift that when that's always how I've been?
Well, do you want to make people feel good, or do you want to actually help them change their life?
Oh. Okay.
So that's the equivalent of the dog in the burning building.
Yeah.
And he's like, everything's fine. This is fine. Flames all around me. This is fine. But when you don't go all the way, it's like you giving them a ice cold glass of water and they think everything's great, but they're still in a burning building. They're still not out of their situation. And so you have to go all the way. You have to ask them those questions, and you may not want to make them cry. I don't want to make people cry, but at the end of the day, like, that is the time to turn it up and go deeper, because these types of conversations people aren't having. They're not having these types of conversations, and they're having this conversation with you. And if you've communicated that you're actually there to be able to help, and like, that's like the doctor, like, helping you with a wound and needs to stitch you up, but decides not to stitch you up because it's going to cause you pain. It's like, I'm stitching you up to be able to save your life, dumbass. Like, that's the whole reason why we're here. Yeah. Right. So why would I go only 3/4 of the way and not go all the way? You're not only doing them a disservice, but you're also doing yourself a disservice. Where are you not going all the way in your own life when you know you could be going and fully doing everything you can? Where are you pulling your punches in your own life? Because this is probably showing up somewhere else where you're not going all the way, because for some reason, because when you are helping somebody in that particular situation and you do ask them the question, it's going to make them cry. I've had plenty of people cry in my calls. And when they do cry, I just say, that's okay. You can cry. You'd be surprised how many people actually, cry on these calls. But them getting to that situation that arguably, you've done your job of figuring out what the actual pain is. But just because somebody knows that it's painful doesn't mean that they have leverage over themselves. Them knowing it's bad is not enough. So for you to ask them the questions that they already know, but maybe they're lying to themselves, or maybe that they are refusing to admit the truth to themselves, by you asking those questions, now not only are they telling you, but now they have to tell themselves the truth of where they're at. And it's in that moment right there that change can actually happen. Because at the end of the day, no matter what you're selling change. And that little piece right there is the fulcrum behind it. Is more painful for them to stay where they're at than it is for them to make a change.
I feel like that was really powerful. And the fact that it made me feel something. Like, I feel like if I could hit the rewind, I mean, I guess in the future I can hit the rewind, listen to it again, but the way that made me feel, that was really powerful.
Hey, Savages, if you want a transcript of how I objection handled this person for 15 minutes and get to see in detail for how I handled many different objections, think about objection, guarantee objection, partner objection, then head to my new Facebook group. For the first 100 people who join, I'm going to be giving away this PDF document. Go there now and get it for free.
I think that's a huge reframe I have to have. As you know, if I'm a closer, and I even feel like that word, I'm like, I don't even know if I love that word, because it's like I'm helping people. I don't really care about the money. Yes, the money is great. I'm doing it more because I really do want to help these people. And if I feel like I'm there to actually help, if I feel like I'm actually there to help, and that I'm not there just to I'm not hurting them. Like you were saying, the doctor analogy, I'm only hurting to help, but I'm not hurting them. That's very key. This is all a huge mindset reframe for me.
Yeah.
To know that I'm really there to help them. So yeah. I do see we have a new person that has joined us. I don't know if you want to welcome.
Yeah, no, I put it down so that people can join. If you have any questions as we're going through this, feel free to pop it in the chat. But what's the next thing that you had? Well, what was the didn't I say that we were going to address something? Here we go. Yeah. I said, what state of follow-up who emails you questions about your offer, how to re-engage your pipeline, frames and frame control, what to say during the discovery phase. I feel like we've already kind of gone through this. Well, what do you think has been the reason why you've closed 5 deals in the last week?
I feel like there's been so many shifts, so many mental shifts. The framework, like, how am I showing up? What tonality am I using? Like, what mental framework that, you know, Dr. Lauren, I'm here to help kind of thing. I'm not here to be your friend. That has helped. Just hearing how you say it. If someone asks this question, here's what to say back. Here's where to go. I don't even think I can pinpoint it, because it's been like, I mean, it's like if you're in a gym and it's like, well, which piece of equipment made you get fit? It's like, well, all of them. Like, I did it in concert. It's all the instruments in concert working together. It's what you say in the discovery portion. It's what you say in the objection handling, knowing that when you're at this part, you're going to use this later down here. And you saying not to be so robotic. Don't necessarily go by the script. Use it as a map and a guide, but like, it's a conversation. Come back to it, know where you're going. Mm-hmm. But the moment I let go of that, it was good. Now, I will say my conversation has gotten longer, so I need to like bring it back in. But I feel like this is like, don't be so black and white. There's shades of gray. And like, you don't have to go one by one. Like, but I guess now it's like, okay, I'm allowing it to go off. So maybe, okay, like you were saying, if they give you all the pain up front, where do you know to stop them and say, yeah, we're going to get into that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if I'm not going by a script, how far off script can I go?
Yeah. Well, so that's why I like the framework rather than a script, right? So the framework is the lattice work that you can use to be able to move around. But a script, I feel like, keeps you boxed in, mm-hmm. right? You have to say this, you have to say that. But the framework allows you freedom to be able to move about. And so this is why I like, my FIRE sales framework, which is frustration, imagination, reconciliation, and extension. And the frustration, it stands for FIRE framework: frustration, imagination, reconciliation, extension. So you're figuring out like what is going on right now that they don't like. What is frustrating them? What is right now that has us on this call? And then Like, well, do you know what you're looking for? Right? Okay. Well, I don't really know what I'm looking for. Well, that's a problem. How will you know what you're looking for when you find it if you don't know?
And that's a big thing, is me being willing to go back and be like, if I didn't get the information here, like I cannot keep going. Like I got to go back up and on the script and be like, I didn't capture that part yet.
Yeah. Yeah. So you need to figure out, like, what are they doing? What are they looking for? What is the actual situation? What have they done to, like, what's the rationale, right? Why they're possibly looking for help rather than maybe just doing it on their own. And that's a real big one that helps prevent DIY objections at the end. And if they're like, oh, nothing really, just, I'm just kind of, wonder what you guys have or whatever. And they're trying to put the onus on you. It's like, well, what's going on with you that has you even possibly reaching out? Because, brother, if we could help, we could help. If we can't, we can't. I have no ego saying it, but I guess you tell me kind of what's going on, and then they get to tell you.
Yeah. I just thought about one of the common objections I'm getting a lot right now is that they want to research it. What is that? Is that just a smoke screen? Where should I be going with that? Because I'm like,
Research what?
oh, I just want to like research more about you guys. Like, and they'll go maybe testimonials. Oh, I haven't even gone to your website yet. I just want to check around your website, see what other people think, maybe talk to someone who's been through the program, because then they don't trust our testimonials because we've picked them, right?
Yeah. So this is a smoke screen almost 100% of the time, and could be prevented by really getting the actual truth on the table. Because if they're willing to understand what the consequence of them staying where they're at, right, and that they need to make a change, then your solution, right, your pitch should be customized to give them exactly what it is that they need, because they need to feel like after the pitch that this is the best thing since sliced bread. Like, there's no room for thinking about. So let's go back to the dating analogy, right? It's like, all right, so before I go back to your place with you, Donald Trump is here. Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. Let's get Donald Trump in here. Let me finish this dating analogy, right? It's like, all right, so before I sleep with you, do you have any references, that you could be able to show me, right? Do you have anybody, that actually, can say that you're actually good in bed? It's like, no, that would never happen. Why? Because there's either the attractions there or it's not. And when you're making the sales case, like, that is a BS objection.
I'm guessing I can't use that analogy in the sales call, though, right?
I mean, I would. I'd be like, okay, well, think about this.
Maybe dating. I can't talk about that.
Well, okay, you could do dating, right? But it's like, okay, well, when
you also be dated.
Right. It's like, all right, so, but what is actually going on? Because and then you directing where their attention is going, right? Mm-hmm. So, what was it? And by asking at the end of the pitch and throughout the pitch, do you see how this could actually help? Oh, maybe I can see how this could help. Or it's like, okay, in what ways do you actually see this could help? And then they get to sell themselves on it.
Right. And sometimes they sell themselves. Yeah, I see how this part and this can all help. However, this is the first time I've talked to someone from your company, and I just need to do my research. So, you're the first person I talked to. You go from there. What would you say? Yeah.
And given that, you haven't been looking for very long, and you told me, that this is what you're looking for, this is what you're looking for, and this is what you're looking for, then what else do you feel like you would actually need in order to be able to be successful or to be able to get the actual solution?
Yeah, no, that's all good. I don't even know. I want to look around. Maybe some other offer has more. Your thing sounds good, but I still want to look around.
Okay. Well, what are you looking for?
I just want to see what's out there.
Okay. Like what?
Okay. I see where this breaks it down, because I don't know what to say, even as I'm pretending to be them.
Yeah.
So then what happens?
Well, I mean, you just kind of like show them that their whole reasoning kind of breaks down in front of them when you actually put it under the light of, well, do you know what you look for? No, I don't know what I'm looking for. Well, I'm just kind of looking, to see kind of what's out there. Okay, but do you know what you look for? No, but I'll know it when I see it. Well, didn't you just say right now that all of the things that we said that we were doing helped you?
So at what point can you say that phrase, like, didn't you just say, or you said, because I feel like that could be very, that could not work well to say, but you said this, because sometimes they'll say, I do need help with XYZ. And then afterwards, like, oh no, I'm good with that. I'm like, do I say, you just said you did? Like, I'm like, do I point that out? Like, how do you do that without getting punched in the face, basically?
Yeah. Part of this is where they don't trust you, right? Like, because somebody's like, well, I need to look around, or I need to go look around. So this is an upstream thing where if you have been communicating, hey, I'm actually here to help you. Hey, I'm on your side of the table here. I'm trying to help. I can't help if you don't tell me like what's going on. And this might be also them like basically trying to let you down easy. And in which case, you could say, well, look, but if you actually went through real deep on the consequence, I don't see how this would actually come up.
So at that point, if you think they are just trying to be nice, do I call that out and just say, it's okay to say no? Like, if this just isn't right, like, do I kind of like push them away, or what do you do?
No, this is the right thing for them. We've already figured that out. We've customized the pitch. So now I'd be like, hey man, you know what I think this is? I think this is just fear. This is fear showing up because everything makes sense. You told me this is exactly what it is that would solve your problem. You told me exactly what it's costing you to stay where you're at. So let's just talk about it. Yeah, it's just a lot of money. Boom. Now it's a money objection. Yeah, it's just a lot of money. All right. Well, do you want some advice? Do you want some coaching around that?
I am curious.
Donald Trump,
you got any questions for us?
We have Donald Trump on our meeting here. It's like, do you want some coaching around that? Yeah, sure. It's like, okay, well, I've helped a lot of people, figure out their way into this program. So, I don't know what your finances look like, but, if you feel like this is it, like this is what's actually going to help you get to XYZ result, then let's talk about it. If I have to break it up or move things around, then let's do that. And now we can actually get into what the actual financial objection is.
So if I'm getting the research it objection, where did I mess up in the call? And I'm also considering sending them like a webinar link or something to warm them up, because it's like, I'll give you the research beforehand. Can you please watch it? Mm-hmm. Not that I can make them, but obviously that would help. Maybe not a webinar, it's a little long, but I mean, that definitely helped sell a few people. They're like, hey, I already know all this stuff, I'm in. But where did I mess up in the call if they're giving me the research it?
Well, so you might not have. It may just be a smokescreen, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, oh, I got to go research people. But when people say that, it's like,
go through the list of smokescreens. Is it money? Do they see the value?
Yeah.
Money, spouse.
Because it's going to get disintegrated. That's just a smokescreen objection. Do you see how this can actually help you get to what you want? Yes, obviously, because you just said it. This is when I would change my tone. This is when I would be more like the stern father. That's like,
how do I do that as a female?
Okay,
I just want to point out, because I don't have females to model after that I know of so far. I'm sure there are some, but I haven't found them. And I only have you and other males I can't be a stern father. So do I be a stern mother? And like, how's that sound?
Yeah. So it's matriarchal energy. The matriarch, the female figurehead, right? When the queen speaks, everybody shuts up.
Queen energy.
Right? Yes, but not this weird, queen energy that is in vogue right now, where, it's like this spaz type of energy. No, we're talking about the Regal Queen energy. And so this is when you can call them and be like, so what are you going to do? Right? Because let's go back to the whole reason why you're here. You've been looking for a job. You haven't found a job in 3 months. You've sent out 200 applications a day. What you're doing hasn't worked. You've said that this is what's going to happen if nothing changes. And now you've told me that you have a history of not following through. And now you're trying to give me an objection about why you can't follow through. Can you see the pattern that's happening here? And they go, well, yeah, but it's like, well, do you want somebody to be able to hold you to account or not? Because at the end of the day, like that's I'm on your side here. I'm willing to help. Right. Mm-hmm. But what kind of coaches would we be to allow you to go out and continue to search when you've told me this is exactly what you wanted and you've rated your search a 2 out of 10? What kind of coaches would we be to allow you to be able to go and do that?
I think that works for me. And I got to keep thinking about the queen. Maybe I can find a specific queen to think of. But I guess I was thinking about Meryl Streep in Devil Wears Prada. And of course, yes, she is kind of the villain in that. However, she's got like the white coat, the regalness, the kind of politely don't fuck with me vibe, in a very classy way. And that's what I keep looking for is like role models to embody, like if you're putting on a character and how she would say that. And it would be that matriarchal queen kind of energy. I think that helps. I think, because I'm in that weird, like I'm kind of young, kind of old stage. So it's like finding that power. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you don't get the power because you're old.
Okay.
It's who you are.
Yeah.
Because there's plenty of old people who are jokes.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of young people who hold themselves very powerfully.
Can you think of any?
Look at all of the young bros and women who have built empires in their 20s. It's not your age, right? It is a matter of you stepping into your power because you've just freaking decided it. So the process that you're learning of sales, right? Because you're talking about you went 2 weeks where you only closed one, right? And that's going to happen. That's what happens in sales. But what allows you to be able to still maintain your own equanimity and your own groundedness when people aren't buying? And that is when you know that you're following your process to a T, whether that person enrolls or not. If you know within your heart of hearts that you did everything in your power to be able to bring that person in and you followed your process, you can sleep soundly at night. It's when you know you've pulled your punches and you aren't asking the last hard question to really seal the deal that you are going to feel stress on top of the stress of not closing anything.
I like that because I also am thinking about what about next week? Like, what if next week I close 0? What if I close 1?
What if you close 0?
What if I close 6? Like, I could close 10. What do I need to do now in preparing for the week? Obviously, follow the process, work on my tonality, have my objection handling planned out. And, if they go right, I go left or whatever my plan is. And yeah, I need to be able to stay strong, like you're saying, because there is a chance I could only close 1. And how am I going to get through that? Because I'm glad I didn't quit. I was ready to give up. I was like, I guess I'm just I can't do this. And you're like, you will never know if you could do it, if you don't even give it a month, if you don't even really try. And that was when I think that was a huge turning point. It was like, just try, just give it even just a month. Like, and then the fact that next week I freaking killed it, not top of the leaderboard, top of like the most sales, I think, for our company. But like, other people have been there longer, so they had some more cash coming in. But like, that felt really good. And it's not just about the money. It's about the fact that I get to help these people, that I feel like I'm following the process more, and being able to ask you.
You said something very interesting there.
Which part?
You have been doing this for 3 weeks and you just said it's not about the money. Tell me more about that.
Because I really, really want to help people. That is what matters most to me in life, is feeling like I matter, that I can help other people. I want them to be happy. And this is a vehicle for me to do that. Yes, I want to do my own coaching and my own, business. But while I'm working with this other business, how can I help people? How can I serve my mission, which is to help these people? And it becomes not about the dollar number, it becomes about the number of sales that I've made in a week. But I'm not focused on that in one sense, because I kept asking her, like, how many did I sell? Was it 4? Oh, we're at 5. Oh, are we at 6? Like, I was like losing track. So I think I just want to feel really proud that if I were to show you the video, that you would see it and be like, you followed the steps. And that actually made me cry the other day, because you heard me again. I'm like, he's hearing my calls. You said, and I thought you were going to give me a hard time that I had messed up somewhere. Like, you shouldn't have done that or said that. And you were like, you really hung in there, and that guy gave you objections, and you kept on the phone for another half an hour, and you kept swinging. Like, I didn't give up. And that made me proud. I may not have won that call, and I shouldn't say the word win even. I didn't get that client over the line, that prospect, but I did everything in my power, and I followed the process, and I did everything I possibly could to make sure that, just like that analogy, because that was that same day, you said, if he is in your doctor's office and you have just told him, I'm sorry, sir, you have cancer, you're not just letting him walk out and be like, hey, have a good day. Like, I thought about that as I was talking to him. I do not want you walking away without me at least trying to help you. I can't make you, but I can try. So I think it's not about the money. It is about actually helping people and actually knowing I've done everything in my power. So that's me taking my power back. And the more I'm doing that, the more I'm being congruent and feeling confident. And I'm so glad you told me to just keep trying, and kind of gave me the hard advice of, if you don't even try for a month, like, you're going to give up. You'll never know. You'll always wonder if you could have done it. And hearing that hard stuff is what I needed. So you were willing to stitch me up. You were willing to cause me a little bit of pain in order for me to become stronger and better and believe in myself more. And I'm really glad I've gone through this process. It's extremely exponentially helped me.
Yeah.
In who I am, in my confidence levels. And like, I just want to tear up thinking about it. Like, I really, really appreciate it. And I thought I knew. I was on the sidelines. I watched you go through hundreds of calls. I've seen you do this. Nothing is like doing it yourself. Being actually, what did you say, on the battlefield? I was watching from the sidelines, and now I am on the freaking battlefield way more than I've ever been before. And I get it. And it's exhausting, and it's emotionally taxing, and it's also emotionally exhilarating. And just, it's amazing when you feel like you do get to help people. And it's worth the exhaustion. It's worth the hardship. And I know if I train more, like, what did you say the other day? It was, if I, will I get faster? Yes. Will I get better? Yes. Like, if I keep going, will I get better? Yes. And if I keep listening to what you're saying, I can tell I will. So thank you. Yeah.
Well, I think this is a good place to start wrapping up the episode here. Donald Trump, if you have any questions, go ahead, pop them into the chat before we end here. But just closing remarks here. We covered a lot. I think we've been on for an hour and a half, which is the longest podcast that I've done so far. But I feel like it's been very valuable. We covered a range of topics. But I think that for you to take away, like, how do you know whether somebody is, follow-up worthy, right? Knowing whether it's a fear-based objection or not. And if it is a fear-based objection, you need to do everything you can to close them on the call then. And you might even have to risk burning the lead, but you can risk burning the lead, or that person can continue to go back to their life, living the type of life that they don't want to live. But that comes back to you being congruent and you being in integrity with yourself. If you know that you have been following the process and you have been doing the proper inputs, you can't control the output, but you can control your inputs. If you're doing everything right by your own standards, your own inputs, then you get to let the rest of the chips fall as they may. I know that when I talked to Taylor once, and he said his first February taking calls, I think he like went almost the entire month with no sales. I think he talked to like 50 to 70 people. It was crazy. No sales. And it was like the pit for him. But then after that, it just started picking up again. And he was fairly good. So it's just a matter of you following your own process. I'm glad that I get to be here to be able to help you, right? But I'm also super freaking proud of you, because I could say all this stuff, but you're the one that actually has to implement it, and you're the one that is going and putting it into practice. And so your speed of implementation is laudable, really. Like, if I had clients like you, every client was like you, it would be perfect. It would be super fantastic. So, yep. So this episode has been, just kind of taking our normal conversation where you're asking me questions about sales and deciding to put it onto a podcast. So I will, any last words?
Would you want your clients asking you, but what about this? And what about that? What do we say when they say this? I mean, I know one thing you helped me with is the framework, and because you can't be there for every single question. I think that's something that other people would really get some value from, is just those frameworks that you've given me. But I guess my closing remark would just be, thank you so much for everything that you've taught me over the years. And I would not be who I am today. I would not have made as much money in any of my businesses, my massage business, my art business, I've done so many different things. I would not have worked with Jeff Walker. I would not have worked with Cole Gordon or like gone to Sniper, and done the boot camp. I wouldn't have done so many things. I've literally climbed, it was a little mountain, but it was a mountain. And I did that in flip-flops. There's so many things I've done that I would have been way too afraid to before. And because of what you've taught me about perspectives and frameworks and how you see the world, that has made all the difference in who I am and the life I live. And the fact that we're in Austin now, and the fact that we are going on new adventures. And I am really excited to go on these adventures with you, through sales, through life, through the world. And yeah, you are the pirate that's sailing the sea, and I love sailing with you. I know that sounds really cheesy, but thank you. Thank you for leading the way, and showing me how I can be a leader as well, and really take back my power.
Well, I don't know how I could follow that. So I'll dock the episode there, and we'll catch you on the next one. Savvy.